We're back for the UFC fight card of Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm getting ill again. It has been a consistent thing this past like 3 weeks where I have been ill, fine. I'm probably going to be ill again down the line. So I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know why I rolled that D for some reason, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. I keep getting fucking ill for some reason. It's a quite exciting video, but being ill just doesn't help with it. So we're going to try and rush through this as we can. Apologies if it's not that great, but no excuses. Let's do our best. We have Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert this week, or today I should say, where Meerschaert is 37 and 18. His country is United States. He stands at 6 foot 1 inches tall. He weighed in at 185 pounds in his last win, has a reach of 77.5 inches and a leg reach of 40 inches. Thank God the reach and leg reach have been noted down this week, or at least today. Brad Tavares is 20 and 11. His country is United States. He stands at 6 foot 1 inches tall as well. He has a weigh-in of 185 pounds in his last win as well. Has a reach of 74 inches and a leg reach of 43 inches. Now, Meerschaert does like to grapple a lot, and Tavares does have some grappling experience, but he tends to keep it on the feet every now and then, or mainly I should say. But Meerschaert has got the longer reach, so he can just keep, if he uses his jab, he can keep Tavares back and then work on them takedowns and get the takedowns. Now, early predictions here before we go any further into the fight. I'm gonna say Meerschaert probably gets this one done, but let's move on to things like win buys in a moment. They both have the same height. Meerschaert has more experience. The weight, again, it's going to be middleweight bout limit. Leg reach goes in Tavares' favor by 3 inches, but if Tavares can kick him, Meerschaert can land them strikes. And if Meerschaert can kick him, then Meerschaert and Tavares can then land the strikes too. But Tavares is coming in with a bit of a disadvantage here, with a 3.5 inch reach disadvantage. They both come from America. Again, doesn't really matter where you're from, but let's move on to win buys to see how they've got it done in their previous fights. So Tavares has a 25% KO go, 10% submission, 65% decision with an average fight time sitting at 13 minutes and a knockdown average of 0. While Gerald Meerschaert, on the other hand, has a 16% KO go, 78% submission, 5% decision with an average fight time sitting at 9 minutes and a knockdown average of 0 as well. So before we go into any other stats, they both have an average of a knockdown, so they both have had knockdowns in their previous fights. They both have a fairly high average fight time, but Meerschaert has seen less decisions than Tavares has. Tavares has seen a lot more decisions. So if it does go to a decision win, I'd probably give it to Tavares. If it does go to a submission, I'd probably give it to Meerschaert. And if it does go knockout, you could give it either way, but I think Tavares would benefit a little bit better. That's just my opinion on that. Let's move on to the next bit of win by stats that I have here. We're going to start with Tavares here, who has 5 KO and TKO wins, 2 submission wins, and 13 decision wins. So his most common wins are coming by decision, then KO and TKO, and then submission. He has 0 losses by submission, 5 losses by knockout, and 5 by decision. He's had 15 wins in the UFC and 10 losses in the UFC. He's currently on a 2-fight losing streak, but he did beat Chris Weidman 2 years ago, well, 1 and a bit years ago, by unanimous decision, lost to Bruno Silva, and lost to Dricus du Plessis, or just Dricus du Plessis, or Plessis, however you want to say it. I do believe it's Dricus du Plessis, but I do say du Plessis. So his most common losing is by decision recently. Actually, no, it's been knockout. No, he's had 3 decision losses, right? No, it's been knockout or decision, so it's been half and half. But his most common wins is by decision recently. Yeah. So Tavares is not having a good time recently. But let's move on to Gerald Meerschaert. Meerschaert has 6 wins by KO and TKO, 29 wins by submission, and 2 wins by decision. He has 5 losses by decision, 9 losses by submission, and 4 by knockout. He has 12 wins in the UFC and 10 losses in the UFC. In the FCC, he has 7 wins, 2 losses. In Madtown Throwdown, he's had 2 wins, 2 losses. In Combat USA, he's had 3 wins and 1 loss. He lost previously to Rene Derrida. Fucking hell. He beat Edmund Shabazian by a rear naked choke. By triangle, sorry. He beat Brian Barberena by a rear naked choke. Lost to Craig Jones by rear naked choke. And that's not UFC, so that doesn't really count. It's all these. Oh, he did have time away from the UFC there. Look at that. I don't think that's the FCC. I don't know what that organization is. SP something. Then he was back in the UFC against Andre Petroski. He lost against Joe Pyfer. He didn't fight Joe Pyfer in UFC. Oh, he did fight Joe Pyfer in UFC first and then fought him in a CFFC. So he's on a 1-fight losing streak, but then had an arm triangle and rear naked choke. Okay, so yeah, it's difficult to go. Wow, I can't speak. It's difficult to go off of because if Meerschaert is to win, it'll probably be by submission. But if Tavares is to win, I would say that he's probably going to win via decision. So previously we've been putting the next 2 stats together, which is significant strikes and grappling. So let's go through both of these first. But so far, the game plan for Tavares will probably be knockout, and for Meerschaert will be submission. So Meerschaert has an average of 3 punches landed per minute, 45% significant strikes, an average of 4 punches absorbed per minute with a defense of 53%, while Tavares has an average of 3 punches absorbed per minute, landed per minute, 43% significant strikes, an average of 3 punches absorbed per minute with a defense of 55%. Meerschaert had the better defense. No, he had the worst defense, sorry. My God, what is going on with me? He absorbed more, which isn't good, but it's not too much. He had a high significant percentage. Again, it's very close, and landed per minute, it's very close. These two in their previous fights had a very close striking match. But when it comes to grappling, Meerschaert had an average of 2 takedowns, 35% takedown accuracy, 42% takedown defense with a submission average of 2, while Brad Tavares on the other hand had a takedown average of 1, 26% takedown accuracy, 80% takedown defense with a submission average of 0. So both of their significant strike stats have not really been perfect. They weren't great, they weren't perfect, they weren't amazing. But Meerschaert did have the better of his opponent, at least. Well, no, he didn't have the better of his opponent. Comparing Tavares and Meerschaert had the better. He overpowered Tavares with the stats, not as in they both fought previously and he did better. Basing it off of the stats, Meerschaert did better than Tavares. With the grappling, again, Meerschaert did better. Meerschaert looked better in his previous fight with a loss, while Tavares looked worse, even though he had a loss. I think Meerschaert will do better. I think Meerschaert will win this fight. I think Meerschaert does win. I think it will be a submission win. But takedown defense for Tavares is very good. Takedown accuracy for both of them, fairly poor. Meerschaert's takedown defense was fairly poor. But I'd probably give Meerschaert the win. But again, can't write either of these guys off. Tavares has a chance. Meerschaert just has a bit more experience. Yes. They both lost their previous fights. I'd like to see the stats on when they win, but for now, I'm probably going to give it to Meerschaert. So how do I think this fight plays out? I think it's going to be a slow fight. I think it's going to take its time. I think it's going to start ramping up slowly as the fight goes on, but I think Meerschaert does get the better of Tavares later on in the rounds. Or if Tavares does win, it'll be earlier on, but if it does go to a decision, I think Tavares will do enough to win, but I think Meerschaert will get a submission later on. But that's just my thoughts and my opinions and roughly my predictions. What do you guys think? Who do you think wins and how do you think win? Pop it up. I'll catch you in a bit. Take care. And I'm sorry, this video is not as good as I thought it would be. There's a lot of times where I ramble on, times where I stop talking for a bit because of my throat, and a lot of times where I just don't even know what I'm saying. So give me some time. I'll be back. Well, we're coming back tomorrow. Hopefully my throat is fine by tomorrow and we'll be able to continue. But I'll catch you in a bit. Take care and peace.